So I'll now formally begin. Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar on the recent LGBTQA Conversion Practices Ban. This webinar is part of our Law for Community Workers series. My name is Helen Cooper. I'm a lawyer at Legal Aid's Community Legal Education team, and today I'm on Gadigal land. I pay my respects to elders past and present, and as we come together for the purpose of legal education, I acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as the first educators, storytellers and lawmakers from across the lands that we're all joining from today. Because we will be talking about laws in New South Wales, just a reminder that if you're listening in from another state or territory, laws might be different. This presentation is general information only and cannot be relied on as legal advice. The information is accurate today, the 15th of May 2025, but it might change if you're watching the recording at a later date. While we can't answer questions about personal situations in this webinar, if you do need legal help, please call Law Access on 1300 888 529 or via web chat at legalaid.nsw.gov.au. So today we have three speakers and I will introduce them now. Claire Williams will be presenting from Anti-Discrimination New South Wales. She is a Community Engagement Officer. Claire is a dedicated and experienced community engagement professional with more than 25 years of experience in community, government and non-for-profit sectors across Australia and the UK. She has led and contributed to numerous outreach and education initiatives focused on inclusion, anti-discrimination and community capacity building. Claire is one of the Conversion Practices Ban project leads at Anti-Discrimination New South Wales. She is known for her collaborative approach, strong communication skills and commitment to fostering inclusive, informed and empowered communities. Jackie Lynn will be answering questions at the end of today's session. She is the Acting Executive Manager at Anti-Discrimination New South Wales. This is the body that's committed to eliminating discrimination and promoting equality and equal treatment for everyone in New South Wales. Before joining Anti-Discrimination New South Wales in 2006, Jackie worked as a solicitor in the UK and in legal and dispute resolution roles in the private and government sectors in New South Wales. She is passionate about finding ways to genuinely improve inclusion and the equal opportunity at work and more broadly in society. And lastly, we have Bridget O'Kane, who is a lawyer from Inner City Legal Centre. We're really happy to have Bridget speaking with us today. She is working in the criminal and domestic space with a particular focus on the LGBTQIA+ community. Bridget has a Bachelor of Arts and a Juris Doctor from the University of New South Wales. She also holds her Masters in Communication Management with a focus on public and cross-cultural communication from the University of Technology, Sydney. Bridget has a background in criminal and regulatory prosecutions and has previously worked for the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the New South Wales Crime Commission and the New South Wales Healthcare Complaints Commission. She has worked as a Crown Advocate in the Supreme Court in the ACT and the local district and Supreme Courts in New South Wales and Queensland. So I will now hand over to Claire. Thanks, Claire.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for Legal Aid inviting us to do the session today. I'll just wait for the slides to come up, but we're here today to talk to you about the Conversion Practices Ban and the role of Anti-Discrimination New South Wales. Just in starting today, I just wanted to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we meet today. Today I'm coming to you from the lands of the Darug people, and I would like to pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Just checking, Helen, I can't see the slides coming up there. Are they coming up for everyone else? No. Yeah, so I've still got your introduction slide there, the LGBTQA Conversion Practices Ban one.
I'm just going to check with Jackie. Are you able to see the content warning slide?
No, I've also only got the your opening cover slide.
All right, I'm just going to stop the share for a minute. Just stand by and I will restart it. Thank you.
And just while you're restarting, I'll just speak through the content warning. So just letting you all know today that the content of this presentation may be emotionally challenging at times. We do have an explainer video and a case study which contains references to suicide. So please, and we'll give you links at the end of this presentation, please reach out to QLife or Lifeline or Beyond Blue if you need confidential support with regard to this presentation. And we're just waiting for the slides to come in, but I'll tell you a little bit about Anti-Discrimination New South Wales to start. So we're the New South Wales state government body, Anti-Discrimination New South Wales, that administers the Anti-Discrimination Act of 1977, and we strive to eliminate discrimination in New South Wales by answering inquiries, investigating and resolving complaints, and raise awareness about discrimination and its impacts. And we grant exemptions to the Anti-Discrimination Act and advise the government about discrimination matters. So just some statistics for you. Last year, we answered about 3,000 inquiries and received about 1,500 complaints. And disability discrimination continues to be the most common ground for complaints, followed by race discrimination. So you haven't really missed anything in terms of the slides so far. So it was just really an introduction into our organisation. And I just wanted to talk to you specifically about the Anti-Discrimination Act and then I'll talk about the Conversion Practices Ban Act. So we're just waiting for the slides, but under the anti...
Can I just, I'll just ask whether anyone else in the audience is now able to see a slide that says Anti-Discrimination Act 1977?
Oh, they can.
Yeah.
Okay. As long as the audience can see it, that's fine. Excellent. Okay. I'll just chat through. Let
us know in the audience. We are keeping an eye on the Q&A box. If for some reason it freezes, do let us know. Thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah, so just a little chat about the Anti-Discrimination Act, which was began in 1977. So in New South Wales, it's unlawful. Unlawful discrimination is when you're treated less favourably from someone else because of your, and all the different grounds are listed there, your race, your disability, your sex, including pregnancy and breastfeeding, and disability includes diseases and illnesses, your age, your marital or domestic status, your homosexuality, being transgender or your carer's responsibilities. Sexual harassment, vilification and victimisation are also against the law. And you can find out more information about this on our website. So we just wanted to specifically to talk about the review of the Anti-Discrimination Act before we talk about the Conversion Practices Ban. So the Attorney General has asked the Law Reform Commission of New South Wales to review the Anti-Discrimination Act, and that review is now underway. And there have been shifts in society and demographics and attitudes since the Act came into force in 1977. And the current review provides an opportunity to benefit from the experience of almost 50 years of anti-discrimination legislation in New South Wales, and to ensure that the Act reflects best practice, delivers genuine and effective solutions for people experiencing discrimination. So there were preliminary discussions about the Act, and these preliminary submissions were put out to people to respond to, and that closed in September 2023. And Anti-Discrimination New South Wales, along with many other LGBTQA organisations, welcome the opportunity to make a submission. And you can read our submission on the New South Wales Law Reform Commission's website. But in summary, Anti-Discrimination New South Wales supports amending the grounds in the Act to include protection based on sexual orientation that you can see there, gender identity, intersex or innate variations of sex characteristics, and religion or religious beliefs. So now we're just going to move on and talk about conversion practices, because I know most of you are here today to hear about those. So on the 22nd of March 2024, the New South Wales Parliament passed a bill that banned LGBTQA Conversion Practices. And the law came into force on Friday, the 4th of April, 2025 this year. So Anti-Discrimination New South Wales was given 12 months to prepare for the commencement of the legislation. So LGBTQA conversion practices are harmful practices which seek to change or suppress an individual's sexual orientation or gender identity, and they're sometimes referred to as gay conversion practices or conversion therapy. But evidence does show that conversion practices are dangerous and damaging and that they don't work. So conversion practices are not supported by medical research, and I'll show you a slide about that in a minute. And there's no evidence that sexual orientation can be changed or suppressed. While gender identity can be fluid, attempts to forcibly change it are harmful and ineffective. And conversion practices may be such things as teaching, counselling, spiritual care activities, other psychological or medical interventions based on the false ideology that there's something wrong or broken about people with diverse sexualities or gender identities. So they might include, a conversion practice might include people receiving subtle and repeated messages that with faith or with effort that they can change or suppress their sexual orientation or gender identity. Now, Anti-Discrimination New South Wales can now accept the reports of conversion practices and formal complaints about conversion practices since the 4th of April 2025. So just on the next slide, we're just going to give you some more examples of what conversion practices might be. They might include, but are not limited to, things such as using shame or coercion or other tactics to give someone an aversion to same-sex attractions, or to encourage gender conforming behaviour, encouraging someone through a sustained effort to believe their sexuality or gender is defective or disordered, performing a ritual such as an exorcism or prayer-based practice to change or suppress someone's sexual orientation or gender identity. But often LGBTQA conversion practices are difficult to recognise because the forms they might first appear as non-threatening. They might be something like a study group or a mentoring or counselling or counsel courses. So just on to the impact of conversion practices. So this is some information that we were talking about previously that we were going to looking at research. So in its position statement on engaging with the LGBTQA community, the AMA, which is the Australian Medical Association, states that conversion practices are rooted in the false assumption that sexual orientations other than heterosexuality and gender identities other than cisgender are mental disorders that can and must be altered. There is strong agreement among the medical profession in Australia that conversion practices have no medical benefit or scientific basis, and there's evidence of significant harms resulting from such practices. And the Australian Psychological Society also states that there's clinical evidence that these practices are harmful and can compound challenges already faced by the LGBTQ+ communities. So just on to the next slide with regard to what the Conversion Practice Ban Act says. So conversion practices, as we've mentioned, are now against the law, and a conversion practice means a practice, treatment, or sustained effort that's directed to an individual on the basis of the individual's sexual orientation or gender identity, and it's directed to changing or suppressing the individual's sexual orientation or gender identity. So the Conversion Practices Act, it's important to say, does not stop anyone from holding beliefs about sexuality or gender or having conversations with others about those beliefs. However, it does prohibit causing harm to others by trying to impose beliefs or change someone's gender or sexuality. So what the Conversion Practice Ban Act says, so the Act also outlines what is not a conversion practice. And you can see here that it's stating what relevant religious teachings are or what a religion says about a specific topic. General requirements in relation to religious orders or membership or leadership of a religious community. So that might be something like a priest or a nun being told to be a priest or a nun, they need to be celibate. General rules in educational institutions, or parents discussing matters relating to sexual orientation, gender identity, sexual activity, or religion with their children. So I would just like to show you our 4-minute explainer video, which is a little bit of a summary of what I've just been talking about until I talk to you further about the legislation. And if we just go to the next slide, we should be able to watch the video and hopefully hear the sound as well.
Most individuals are attracted to people of a different sex and live their lives as the gender on their original birth certificate. Some people have a different sexual orientation or gender identity. There's nothing wrong with being heterosexual or straight, or with being lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or asexual. All of these are perfectly natural and valid. Everyone deserves to be loved and cared for by their family, friends, and community. And people can still be a person of faith, or not, whichever they prefer. In New South Wales, all people, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, should feel welcome and valued and be able to live authentically and with pride. There are those who believe that being LGBTQA is an illness, a choice, a disorder, or a disease. They believe it can be changed or hidden. They believe that things can be done to stop a person being LGBTQA or to fix them. These actions might look like counselling, never-ending referrals, prayer, or pastoral conversation that is intended to change or suppress someone's gender or sexuality. Some people who believe these things also believe that a person who has a different sexual orientation or gender identity can't also be a person of faith. But we know these so-called conversion practices are deeply harmful. They don't work, and they are damaging to the whole community. Faith and identity are not mutually exclusive, and numerous faith communities actively support LGBTQA people. The laws in New South Wales protect people's rights to have religious beliefs, and people also have the right to be safe and free from harm. New South Wales now has a law against conversion practices. These practices, whether done by family members, health professionals or healthcare providers, disability support providers, teachers or faith leaders, among others, are now unlawful because they are based on ideas that we now know are untrue and harmful. The law says a practice is illegal if it's directed at an individual because of their sexual orientation or gender identity, to try to make them change or suppress their sexual orientation or gender identity. It is not a conversion practice to state what a religion says about a particular topic, provided it's not directed to changing or suppressing an individual's sexual orientation or gender identity. There's nothing wrong or broken about LGBTQA people. It's damaging to say that LGBTQA people should be fixed, and it's inaccurate to say they can be fixed or healed. We know that survivors of these practices can suffer complex and chronic trauma. People can suffer ongoing problems and heavy costs for many years. LGBTQA people can lose their families, friends, and communities. These practices can lead to long-term mental health issues and, in the most tragic of cases, suicide. Reports about conversion practices can be made to Anti-Discrimination New South Wales. Formal complaints may lead to conciliation between the people involved, targeted education, or further investigation. In New South Wales, it is a crime to provide a conversion practice that causes substantial mental or physical harm or endangers an individual's life. This can lead to up to 5 years in prison. It is also a crime to take someone outside of New South Wales for these practices, or to engage someone from outside of New South Wales to deliver these practices to someone in New South Wales. This can lead to up to 3 years in prison, a fine, or both. If you or someone you know is being subjected to these practices, you can make a report to Anti-Discrimination New South Wales. Visit our website for reporting options, support services, and more information. Beyond legal protections, we all have a role to play in challenging harmful ideology and fostering inclusive, supportive communities. If this video has raised issues for you, please reach out to QLife, Lifeline, or Beyond Blue for confidential support. Most individuals.
Okay, I apologise as we go along because I can't see what screen you're on, but I'll just be occasionally I'm looking down to look at my slides. So I apologise for that as we're going along. So just a little bit about our role. So Anti-Discrimination New South Wales administers the civil, which is the non-criminal complaint scheme to support survivors of conversion practices and help to address the harms they've experienced. And we have powers to investigate and conciliate complaints where appropriate and to refer complaints to other agencies, such as New South Wales Police where appropriate, with the consent of the complainant. And we also have research and educational functions. And we aim to eliminate conversion practices by raising awareness about the law and promoting cultural change. So who can report a conversion practice? Anyone who thinks that they see or may be experiencing an LGBTQA conversion practice is encouraged to contact Anti-Discrimination New South Wales. And our inquiry services are open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And you'll be given at the end of the presentation the phone numbers for that. And we can accept complaint reports from anyone, including anonymous reports. And we can accept formal complaints from an individual or on their behalf of another individual or a parent or a guardian of an individual who lacks legal capacity, a representative body, an agent or an agent of an individual such as a lawyer. And we can accept complaints on behalf of others with consent and representative complaints as well. So a little bit about the complaint process. We can provide information and referrals to support services, and that's really important, and other agencies where appropriate. So we are receiving calls from people who had experienced conversion practices previous to the legislation taking place, and we do have our staff who are equipped to talk to those people who bring us and to provide referral information. And if a matter goes to conciliation, the individual will not be required to meet with or talk directly with the other party unless they choose to. And a little bit about the conciliation process now. So through a specialised conciliation officer, so our staff have been trained and are trauma informed in terms of receiving these complaints. So individuals can ask for outcomes they like, and this would be negotiated for agreement between both parties. And it could include something like some kind of acknowledgement, recognition, or apology from the reported person or organisation. It might include an agreement not to carry on the conversion practice in the future, or a change of policy. Might be a financial settlement between the parties, or education and or training for the reported person or organisation. It may be one of those things, it may be multiples of those things, or it may be something different. And a little bit about the role of the NCAT, the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal. So if a matter does not resolve through conciliation at Anti-Discrimination New South Wales, it might go to the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal, where the outcome could include financial compensation up to $100,000, an order for the respondent to stop or not repeat the conduct, or performing any reasonable act or course of conduct to redress the loss or damage that's occurred, or publishing an apology or retraction. And a little bit about the referrals. We talked about Anti-Discrimination New South Wales having the capacity to refer some of our cases. So in some situations, it might be appropriate for Anti-Discrimination New South Wales to refer a complaint of a conversion practice to another organisation, such as New South Wales Police, the Healthcare Complaints Commission, the Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency, Health Professionals Council Authority as well. And conversion practices may also contravene other professional codes and guidelines. So these might, we talked before about the AMA and the APS, but these might be codes of conduct with regard to the Psychotherapy and Counselling Association of Australia and guidelines of several faith-based mental health bodies, including the Christian Counsellors Association of Australia. Criminal offences are important to mention. So these are overseen by New South Wales Police, and anyone who provides a conversion practice that causes substantial mental or physical harm or endangers an individual's life can face up to 5 years in prison, or taking someone outside of New South Wales for these practices, or engaging someone outside of New South Wales to deliver a conversion practice to someone in New South Wales can lead up to 3 years in prison, a fine, or both. But consent to the conversion practice or to be taken outside of New South Wales is irrelevant. So a little bit about the New South Wales Anti-Discrimination Advisory Group. Anti-Discrimination New South Wales set up a Conversion Practices Ban advisory group, which is still active, and it consists of diverse subject matter experts and people with lived experience of conversion practices to guide and inform our work and to ensure that our processes are trauma informed. And the advisory group was established to help AD New South Wales ensure all our services are trauma informed, and the members provide independent advice and guidance for key aspects of the implementation of the Conversion Practices Ban, including the development of all our resources. So the video for example, you watched today, our advisory group had some input in terms of that. So all our resources, internal and external, and community awareness and engagement initiatives have been discussed with the advisory group. Just want to, I see in the chat, as some of the chats coming up, people are talking about examples of conversion practices. I'd just like to share with you Samantha's story. And these are real life case studies, but we do change people's names, and we use stock photos to protect their privacy. So Samantha grew up in Sydney in a religious household, and everyone in her family was very involved in the church, attending several days a week. So Samantha also attended a Christian school, and as a child, Samantha felt there was something different about her. As she approached her teenage years, she developed a crush on a girl in her class, and this really scared her. At church, Samantha had heard that gay people were deviants, pedophiles, and possessed by demons. So once Samantha overheard a conversation between her dad and a man at the church who said that he had prayed over a homosexual and that had come in off the streets, and that he brought 7 demons out of him. This made Samantha terrified that she had a demon inside of her. Samantha didn't say anything about her sexuality until she was 15, when she told her mum, and her mum wasn't surprised, but her mum said that they'd been worried and had spoken to Samantha's teachers about their concerns, and Samantha's parents encouraged her to explore healing through the church. Samantha arranged to speak with her pastor, who prayed over her, and the pastor told her that she could be healed. So he organised for Samantha to see other religious people who told her that being LGBTQA was a form of brokenness. So night after night, Samantha would pray to God and ask him to heal her, and if he couldn't heal her, to make sure she didn't wake up. She went to a deliverance ministry, which was like an exorcism, where she had to list the names of the people that she had sexual contact with or had a crush on. And when Samantha was in her early 20s, she moved to Canberra to participate in an ex-gay support group. When this didn't work, Samantha became extremely strict with herself. She avoided anything that could be seen as remotely tied to her sexuality, even stopping herself looking at or interacting with other girls unless necessary. She thought she thought that if she couldn't pray the gay away, maybe she could starve the gay out of herself by suppressing her sexuality. And by the time Samantha was in her mid-20s, she felt tortured and broken. And one day her mum took her out for coffee and said, "Samantha, you've become a shell of yourself. You've stopped laughing and singing. Dad and I have been researching this. And have you ever thought that maybe the reason God hasn't healed you is because there's nothing wrong with you?" So Samantha was gobsmacked. While she finally felt accepted by her parents, it would take more than years for Samantha to truly accept herself and feel comfortable with her sexuality. And so today, Samantha has a successful career and is in a committed relationship and works to help other survivors of conversion practices. And I'm just going to tell you about another case study. Just a content warning regarding this case study, that it does contain sensitive material, including a discussion of physical abuse and suicide, which may be triggering. And again, please reach out to Q Life, Lifeline, or Beyond Blue. So Khalid was born and raised in Western Sydney in a mildly religious Muslim environment alongside his 5 older sisters. And by the age of 10, Khalid knew he was different, and he approached his teenage years. He came to the realization that he was gay. And when Khalid was 16, he started dating a guy who was a few years older than him. And later one night when they were chatting on MSN Messenger, he told Khalid he was seeing someone else. Khalid was devastated and was started to cry. Khalid's family heard the commotion and came to his rescue, and Khalid pretended it was nothing. But the next morning, Khalid had a discussion with his dad, who said, "Please tell me what's going on. I'll help you. Is it drugs?" Khalid finally decided to share the words and said to his dad, "Dad, I'm gay." So his father went silent and his face went pale and he walked away. So coming out to his parents, Khalid felt a sense of release. But his parents, who had migrated to Sydney from Lebanon back in the 1970s, they only had one son and saw a son who'd made a choice to reject their culture, their values and their religion and their hopes for the future. So over the next 5 years, Khalid was met with physical abuse by his family and was sent to a registered psychologist who tried to change his sexuality. And the psychologist said Khalid could be put on the straight path. And Khalid endured years of physical pain and mental anguish. And eventually, at 21 years of age, Khalid was kicked out of his parents' home with only a few $100s to his name. And the pain and the rejection was so overwhelming, Khalid tried to take his own life, sadly. And Khalid's best friend at the time was a young gay Lebanese Christian man, and he helped Khalid by providing support and playing a brotherly role. And Khalid turned to social media and dating apps to build new and meaningful relationships. And one by one, he started to build a small community of people to call family, both in person and online. And today, Khalid has a wonderful, supportive husband, a successful career in marketing, and sits on the board of several LGBTQA organisations. And Khalid has learned how to deal with his family and says that he's not responsible for their ignorance or closed-mindedness. And he explains that sharing his story has helped with his own self-healing and brought healing to others. So they're just a couple of examples of case studies of people that we've been working with. So just quickly, what we have achieved so far, as I realise we're running out of time, we have been received increased number of inquiries from community members, particularly from multicultural backgrounds. So we have been working with multicultural communities, people with disability, and their LGBTQA community as well. We've gained stronger relationships with community organisations, translated materials into community languages, which I'll share with you in a minute, running targeted social media campaigns, community events, and we've been participating in community events and festivals, and we've increased awareness within faith-based communities, partnered with faith leaders to foster inclusive discussions, and we've partnered with LGBTQA organisations to consider future joint projects. And I'm just going to quickly touch you, first of all, if you just have a look at our website, antidiscrimination.newsouthwales.gov.au, you see the banner up the top that says LGBTQA Conversion Practices are now against the law. Click there and you can find out more. And then if we go to the next slide, you can just see that there is information about conversion practices, the video that you watched today, and there's all the information which I'll just touch on here. On the next slide, you can see we've got support services. So we've got support organisations, advocacy and legal services, affirming faith organisations, and crisis and mental health support. If you see on the next slide, and this is a really popular space, we have frequently asked questions. Our FAQs are really popular and we're adding to them as we go. All the great questions people are asking during sessions, we're adding them as the questions and answers so that people are able to learn more about the legislation. You can see on the next slide, we have our Easy Read Guide, which is really popular with people with disability, but often people with limited English as well, or people who are limited in time. If you go to the next slide, we can see that we've got our community language information just in 6 languages at this point, but we are looking at including more as the community responds. And then you can see on the next slide, we have, if you want to get to our website page, there is the QR code here. And again, there's don't forget, if you require support after watching this presentation, the contact details for QLife, Lifeline and Beyond Blue are there. But most importantly, there are Anti-Discrimination New South Wales contact details. So you can see our inquiries and complaints are there, our phone number, our toll-free number and our email. The TIS service, the telephone interpreter service, if you require an interpreter, and our website information. And if you would like to subscribe to our monthly newsletter called Equal Time, the QR code is there as well. If you would like to get in touch, if today that we don't answer all your questions, if you would like to get in touch personally with me, please see my email address on the next slide. I'm a Community Education Officer with Anti-Discrimination New South Wales, and please feel free to contact my email address, and we'll do our best to answer the questions that you have today after Bridget has a chat to you.
Thank you so much, Claire. That was really informative. And so now we're going to hear from Bridget about the services that the ICLC can provide if you do have clients who are requiring legal advice. So Bridget, over to you.
Thanks, Helen, and thanks, Claire. Thank you as well for inviting ICLC to be part of this presentation. And as a bit of background about the ICLC and perhaps why we are included in this presentation today is we were formed in 1980 and we're a not-for-profit community legal centre in the inner city of Sydney. We're located in King's Cross, right in the heart of it, and we provide the only specialist legal service for the LGBTQIA+ community in New South Wales. It's a free service. We provide a free confidential legal advice to individuals in the community who often don't qualify or wouldn't qualify for legal aid, but also we provide advice and assistance to the LGBTQIA+ community on a non-means tested basis. And I'll take you through some of those areas a little bit further on. But our primary, here are our key areas if you were interested in what those were. We provide, as I said, that free confidential legal advice to people that live in the inner city catchment area who often don't qualify for legal aid. We also provide advocacy for the rights of transgender people and trans and diverse gender in the community. They're a hugely underrepresented and disproportionately disadvantaged group. So we provide that advice and as well as these areas in the Thanks. These are the areas we don't provide. However, where there are areas we don't provide or specialise in, we provide referral to other networks and community legal centres that do provide these areas. I think of note, it's important to as well highlight that we have a trans and gender diverse legal service, which is formed as a result of having a specialist clinic, which is formed as a result of recognising the need for it in the area. And it's a clinic which is run weekly, and it provides advice in such areas that might be of assistance, like identity documents when someone has transitioned, as well as change of name, as well as sex markers. For young people, we assist with them generally finding access to be able to have gender affirming medical treatment, and we make such applications in the family court for that. The family law matters that we also assist with are those that might be affecting trans and gender diverse youth or parents and guardians as well. We do have a specialist clinic for domestic and family violence, and that clinic is run, whether or not people would like to call us, they can make an appointment, and we are also at the Downing Centre every Wednesday on a duty basis. So it's a drop-in service. Anyone can come to the Downing Centre and see us on a Wednesday for any advice. These are some of the areas in which we provide further assistance of. I mentioned family law previously with respect of young people gaining access to treatment and making those applications in the family court. We do an employment rights legal service as well, which is especially important with respect of harassment and discrimination in the area, and a sex worker legal advice. Again, the sex worker legal advice and the LGBTQIA+ advice that we provide is not means tested with respect of all areas except for employment. I suppose this legislation is new, and as Claire has taken you through a lot of the aspects and those case examples of it, it's an area that as we see is going to be in its development in terms of those authorities who are tasked with investigating it, and so it's going to be, there's some questions coming up. There's no hard and fast answers that I can or anyone can provide at this time whilst it's in its infancy. They're best directed with Anti-Discrimination New South Wales to be able to help and navigate you with that. But if you do have, I suppose the most important call out is if you do have a client or who discloses or that you are particularly suspicious of what may be happening, is to contact, you can certainly reach out to us and we can assist where we can, but to contact the police and also Anti-Discrimination New South Wales. We can't always help in certain areas, but we can certainly refer. And so these, I suppose, are the contact methods that you can contact us on. And as I said, where we can't help, we will put you in the right direction, and we will certainly be able to point those who contact us in and get them in contact with service that are dedicated if we can't help. So the first pathway is to contact us directly. The second pathway is for a client to contact us. They can email us. There's a QR there as well. We've got an intake form which is available online as well. And there's our contact details as well. We operate outreach as well in Kirkton Road. We have a sex worker dedicated outreach project, Lou's Place, Wayside Chapel, and 2010 New South Wales. I suppose also in addition to that, we do have presence at the Downing Centre, local court, every Wednesday all day. So look, there's drop-in services available should they be in our catchment area. But as I said, we offer that dedicated LGBTQIA+ service statewide. So it matters not where a person lives that needs to access our service in New South Wales. They can contact us and we can remotely assist. That's it from our end. But again, thanks very much to Legal Aid for letting us know and including us.
Oh, that's our pleasure. Thank you so much, Bridget. It's a fantastic service that you run at ICLC, and yeah, we're very proud to be able to partner with you today to provide that information to these vulnerable communities in an area of law that is quite niche and new. So from Legal Aid's side of things, we also provide advice about discrimination, and we have resources both online or over the phone. We have referrals and legal advice. We have a specialist human rights group that works on matters that involve government misconduct in the criminal justice system, discrimination outside of employment, the protection of fundamental rights such as liberty and safety. But we also provide general legal advice service. So the way to get in touch with us is via Law Access, which is our intake advice line. The number is 1300 888 529. If you are a community worker with a client, we also recommend trying the chat with us button on our website. This has a 5-minute response time, so it might be the best way that you can make a warm referral if you would like to try to help a client get in touch then and there. The Law Access intake team will triage according to needs and legal issue. If the matter is very urgent, the client might be eligible to receive same-day legal advice from a lawyer, or the client will be booked into an appropriate advice clinic, specialist team, or an onwards referral given, for example, to the ICLC service. I'd also like to draw attention to this online toolkit. It's a guide for people who think they might have been discriminated against and would like to do something about it. It's very practical. It's sort of designed as a DIY type resource. It has real life case studies and step-by-step guides to identifying discrimination and what the complaints processes are and going to court. I would really encourage community workers to have a look because it contains a lot of important information about what the different types of unlawful discrimination people can get help for, not just on the topic that we have talked about today. And you can find that resource online on the Legal Aid website or by Googling Discrimination Toolkit Legal Aid. So we now have some time for questions. I'm going to ask Jackie if she would like to respond. We only have, Jackie, you've been monitoring, so I'll just hand over to you.
Great. So we've got a few questions that I can see in the chat. So I'll run through those. The first question I can see is, can you give some more examples of what a sustained effort in conversion practices is? So sustained effort isn't actually defined in the legislation. So what we are assuming it means is just according to sort of its general meaning. So it's effort that is continuing over time with an ongoing effort to try and make someone change. So any practice or treatment or an ongoing sort of campaign of pressure, I guess. But in terms of examples, we do hear stories from survivors of people enduring really long experiences of being prayed over for extended periods of time, where they were sort of having to kneel in one position for a long period of time. That may meet the threshold of sustained, or it may be that it's a campaign sort of over weeks and months. At this stage, the law is very new, and I guess it will depend as and when there's any case law, we'll get maybe a bit more clear guidance on what that means. The next question is a little trickier. So got a question asking me to clarify the fact that parents can talk to their children about the parents' views on gender and sexuality, but not being able to impose them on their children, and asking, does this mean that if a child transitions to a different gender to the one on their birth certificate, that the parent must socially support this? And I guess this is about where the line is between discussion and actually actively making an effort to suppress or change that person. It doesn't, the legislation doesn't say you must support, but it does say that you mustn't direct practices to an individual to try and change or suppress. So there are some exceptions in the legislation which allow qualified health practitioners to genuinely explore with individuals their sexual orientation or gender identity, and to understand potential impacts of gender affirming medical treatment. So, you know, I think in those situations, what the intention behind the legislation seems to be is to encourage parents and children and young people to go to specialists who are genuinely able to guide them through those tricky conversations, and to find ways of supporting the family while they're all dealing with those issues. But the legislation doesn't and cannot compel someone to socially support a child's gender transition, but it does require the parent not to cause harm in their interactions by trying to change or suppress that gender identity. I hope that goes some way towards answering that question. A bit of a tricky one. The next question, I'm very conscious of time here, Helen. I can see someone saying, how is the ban being received within culturally and linguistically diverse communities? It's really early days. It's only been enforced for 6 weeks now, I guess. So from what we've seen so far from LGBTQA individuals in culturally and linguistically diverse communities. It's been welcomed and greeted with relief and thanks. We've had people come up to our community engagement officers at various events we've attended and pick up one of our postcards and disclose to our community engagement officers that they are part of the LGBTQA community but have not been able to be out or open or discuss that with anybody. So for them, it's definitely being seen as a really positive thing. We are, as with any kind of legislation in this space, we are seeing some pushback from, and not just culturally and linguistically diverse, but from some of more conservative and particularly religiously conservative religious communities. And you know, this is part, the legislation's only just come into force, and it's part of our longer term role is to continue to engage with those stakeholders in terms of that intersection between their traditions, their beliefs, and this new legislation which has been implemented to prevent harm to individuals. So we'll continue to try and do that. But you know, it's a learning process, and it will continue to be for a lot of people. This will require change, and we hope that the ban will have a preventative effect and will lead people away from causing harm and to directing individuals to support services and affirming places and communities. Okay.
Jackie, could I just jump in there, because I'm also mindful of the time now. I just wanted to ask, there is just a question amongst, and I'm sorry we're not able to get to everybody today, but there's a question here about, do you happen to have any resources for other states or point people in the direction of where they might be able to access that information if they have joined us today from elsewhere?
So the other states, so Victoria, on the Victorian Equal Opportunity and Human Rights Commission's website, they have some wonderful resources. And I might just quickly include another question, which is around the Victorian body's video. We were very grateful. Victoria allowed us to use their resources. So we didn't copy, we were given access to their resources, but obviously we had to change those resources to fit the New South Wales legislation. But yes, it does look very similar. The ACT and Queensland have very different types of bans. So the ACT Human Rights Commission and the Queensland body also have information on their websites, but it's a bit less. And there's also some really good resources on the New Zealand Human Rights Commission's website around LGBTQ conversion practices. And both Victoria and New Zealand are a couple of years ahead of New South Wales in terms of this legislation, and they've got some really good resources up there on their website.
Thank you so much. Look, we're going to wrap up there for today. As I mentioned earlier in this webinar, we will be providing all of the contact details that were mentioned during the course of the PowerPoint slides to those registered participants via email. And then this video will be uploaded to Legal Aid's YouTube channel. So thank you so much to our guests today. And thank you to all of the community workers and allied professionals who have joined in as well to learn about this new area of law. Don't forget to look out for Legal Aid's upcoming Lunch in the Law series next week as part of Law Week in New South Wales. We'll be hosting events every day at the same time as this, so you can go onto our website to find out more details. Otherwise, I'll wish you Bon appetit if you're going to have your lunch break, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks, everybody.